Quinton Bemiller, and I am at Offramp Gallery, where my exhibition Chance and Choice is currently on view. And the director, Jane Chafin, and I are going to walk you through the exhibition, and I hope you enjoy it. Thank you.
You've described your paintings as fictional spaces that are open to interpretation. Can you talk a little bit about that?
Well, the process that I use in my work is all about time, and it's about layering, the literal layering of paint, but also the layering of time, the way that we experience our lives from one day to the next or 1 year to the next. And over the course of time, things change. And so in my work, that is also what's happening. So I see the paintings as metaphors or as a parallel to life and how we experience it. And I see each of the elements of my work, a line of color or a shape of pressed paint as events or incidents that are happening. Just like in life, we can go day to day on and on without anything in particular happening that's out of the norm, and then all of a sudden on one day there's an airplane flying into a building, or somebody has a birthday or somebody dies. So there's particular events that seem to be more important, and then also as time goes on, there's things that we sort of forget about that get pushed back, and I think you see that happening in the works too. There's things that get covered up where we can barely see them, and a lot of my paintings, you would be surprised to know what they looked like in the early stages of the painting compared to what they look like at the end of the painting.
And right, you said you work on most of these on the ground with the canvas or the paper on the ground, and you let a lot of things happen. Some are intentional, some are accidental, hence the title of your show, Chance and Choice. Why don't you talk a little bit about that and how you get these different techniques,
right.
Not techniques, effects.
Well, yeah, all of the paintings, whether they're paper, like these inks on paper, or if they're acrylic and oil on canvas, I either have them on the floor or on a table if they're smaller. And one of the reasons I do that is because I want there to be sort of a stillness or a frozen quality in the work, almost like you've taken a photo of a place and it's sort of a freeze frame. If I were painting on the wall with all this liquid paint that I use, things would be dripping and moving around like crazy. And so when you would look at the work, what you would see is sort of this action of the paint dripping, and it would become all about gravity and that painting itself. And what I'm really after is more of an illusion. I like to have qualities in the painting where you're not really sure what it is you're looking at, and there's kind of a stillness there. So that's why I work flat.
And yet there's a lot going on there in the spaces that where paint is pooled or you have made a stroke. It's not a static thing. I think it's a very dynamic feeling to your paintings.
Right. Well, since I'm using a lot of liquid paint or liquid washes of India ink or liquid washes of watercolor, and I allow it to do what it does on its own, that's part of the element of chance, leaving some things up to chance. I like the idea of the artist, of myself, not being completely in control, because again that goes back to this metaphor of life. You make decisions, everybody does, we all try to be in control of our lives and be rational and plan for the future, but then there's also things that happen that we don't expect, and some of those are good and some of those are bad, and that's also what happens in the painting. But I never throw in the towel on a painting. I like to think that whatever happens is just part of that painting, and if it's something I'm not really crazy about, the paint decided to move a certain way, or when it dried it looked completely different, that's fine. I just keep going. And as I get more history in the painting, more layers, I eventually get to a point where I feel like there's a story there. And when the potential of what could happen is just as exciting to me as what has already happened, that's where I stop. Sort of like when you're excited to see what will happen next, but there's also a lot to look at and think about what has already happened. That's where I stop the painting.